Alright, so we're going to use the book tutor to help us understand some of the lesson ideas that we've been focused on. So this is kind of an extra added review to help you understand what we are doing. So here we go.
A company is planning on releasing a new item into the market. The graph shows the expected profit Y of the item as a function of the price X. Identify the function as linear or nonlinear. Then estimate and interpret the intercepts. We have a graph of a curve where profit is the title. The x-axis is representing the cost of the item. The y-axis represents the profit per item for our company. First, is our curve linear or nonlinear? Well, I've answered the question when I called it a curve. A curve is non-linear. Linear means the points would line up and form a line. Our curve is non-linear. Now, let's find and discuss the y-intercepts, the x-intercepts, and what they mean. The y-intercept is this point where the curve intersects the y-axis. That is represented by the ordered pair 0, -30. 0 at the origin, that's the x-value, and -30 on the y-axis. That's our y-intercept. What does that y-intercept mean? That means at this ordered pair, 0 representing $0 as the cost of the item would mean -$30 of profit for the company when they would sell that item. In other words, if they were to sell the item for $0, they would lose $30. Of course, we know they won't sell that item for $0. Next, the x-intercepts. There are two of those, this ordered pair and this ordered pair. Those can be represented as 4, 0, and 32, 0. X-intercepts, again, those places where the curve will cross the x-axis. What do those intercepts mean in this problem? At these two ordered pairs, the cost of the item could be $4, that's our first x value, or $32, our second x value. But at those two places, there would be 0 profit. The company would not be making any money if they sold the items for $4 or $32. At those 2 points, we could say they would break even. All of the remaining points on the curve in the first quadrant, those are good points for our company, for at any of those ordered pairs, they will make a profit.
And then we would respond in saying that the graph is never negative. Now let's take a look at where the graph or the function might be increasing. Notice that from 5m, or our increment 0, it is increasing to about, it looks like, the increment of 4. So let's go ahead and color code that with some red here. Then you'll notice from it looks to be about 5, our function is increasing again to the increment at 8. Then we have another increase starting at 10 up to about 12 hours since 5 a.m. So we have increasing. I'm going to use x and say that it is greater than 0 and less than 4, so it's between 0 and 4. And then we can also say that it is between 5 and we said it went to 8. And finally, our last increment where it increased was from 10 up to 12. Now let's go ahead and talk about what times those would actually be. From 0 to 4, rather, yes, that's correct, 0 to 4, that's going to be 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. We have an increase. Then from the 5 to 8 increment, we're going to have, that's going to be 10 a.m. And we have that going up to 8. So we have 1 p.m. Then from 10 to 12, that would be 3 p.m., 5 p.m. Let's now take a look at where the amount of cars going through the intersection is decreasing. So as we travel along our function, you'll notice here we start to come down and decrease from 4 to 5. Then we have another decrease here. And this one is at 8 to 10. And then finally we have one more here at the end of the function. And that begins at 12 and goes to 15. Now let's talk about what times those actually are. So from 4 to 5, here in our increment here, we're going to have that from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. With the 8 to 10, that's going to be 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. And finally, the 12-15 increment is going to be 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Now let's take a look at our relative maximas. It said in the paragraph that we need to find any relative extremas. That would be the maxima and the minimum. Now notice here we've got...
Alright guys, so hopefully that helped you understand positive, negative, increasing, and decreasing a little more. We'll review the relative maximum and end behavior again in class this week. Alright, have a wonderful day.